What's going on, everybody? A good morning and a happy Victory Monday to you all. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online. Stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. Got your Google and Alexa home devices, smart speakers. Stream it up over there. Got the video streams also up and rolling. 5 of them for you. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X/Twitter, and Twitch. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts on this Victory Monday. Hopefully, all had a fantastic weekend. And, well, what do we got on a good old game plan for us here this morning? Late night last night, but the Pack, it was worth it. 30-13 victory over the Seattle Seahawks to pick up their 10th win of the season. So hitting one milestone, hitting one goal for the Pack this year. A lot of teams, that one of their goals is to get to double-digit wins, to get to those at least 10 wins, and the Packers getting that done last night and inching a little bit closer to clinching a playoff spot. Win didn't clinch it for them, but it ironically clinched it for their rivals not too far from us, the Vikings. Before even playing tonight's game against the Bears, have clinched the playoff spot because of the win by the Packers last night. But the Packers, they could clinch their own spot with a W against the Saints next Monday night, a week from tonight. But Jordan Love finishing 20 of 27 for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another game for Jordan Love with over 100 quarterback rating, 123.8. Since the bye, Jordan Love has been on a nice little run here, a nice little tear here in terms of quarterback rating and how well he has been playing since the bye week here. So again, kind of similar to last year, where Jordan Love went on that run in the second half of the season, kind of a little similar to where he is at right now. So 4 straight games for Jordan Love without an interception, and 5 consecutive now with a quarterback rating over 100. So playing his, I think it's safe to say, playing his best football at a good time as the team close to clinching playoff spots over here. So elsewhere, you had Josh Jacobs, 26 carries for 94 yards. Another game for him, though, with over 100 yards from scrimmage, because he also had 4 catches for 42 yards. Christian Watson leading the team in yards. Just Jordan Love dispersing the wealth, though, in his throughout his receivers. Christian Watson, 3 catches for 56, including that 36-yarder. Romeo Doubs returning, 2 touchdowns on 3 catches for 40 yards. Tucker Kraft, a couple catches for 34 yards. Big one was 26 yards, and Jaden Reed, 5 catches for 34. Even Dontavian Wicks getting in with a couple catches and 14 yards. But it was defense. Edgerrin Cooper, both Doubs and Cooper coming back from injuries. Well, Doubs coming back, should say, this past one, with from his choking up here a little bit talking about this game. Doubs coming back after being out for the last couple games due to his concussion. But good to see Edgerrin Cooper kind of showcasing, displaying like, yeah, this is a dude. He came back and led the team in tackles, 7, 6 of them solo. Picked up a sack, a couple TFLs, tackles for loss, a couple pass defensed, and a couple quarterback hits, and even got a pick himself. He dropped one a little bit earlier. Probably could have had 2 interceptions in this game. But Edgerrin Cooper, in my opinion, showcasing the type of player that he could be throughout his career in the NFL. I mean, you saw him coming in on the blitz. You saw his speed on display in coverage, and being decisive and trusting his instincts and taking down the ball carrier. Edgerrin Cooper, rightfully so, after the game, getting the game ball from Matt LaFleur and the team there too. But Edgerrin Cooper, what a fantastic game for him last night. I mean, overall, pass rush, 7 total sacks. One drive was all Kingsley Enagbare. He ended up finishing with 3 tackles for loss, a couple quarterback hits, including 2 sacks. So overall, the Packers, 7 sacks. 7 sacks for this team. And it was, I got to tip my cap to Jeff Hafley, Packers defensive coordinator, because a little bit of a surprise too. Jaire didn't play after practicing Wednesday and Thursday, was listed as a full participant Wednesday and Thursday. Late Friday, Matt LaFleur said it just didn't look like Jaire was ready to go, so they held him out of practice on Friday and already declared him out. So you're thinking, okay, you got this receiving core. They like to throw it over the top here with DK and Jackson Smith and Lockett in that. Kind of have to get after the quarterback quick, right? Not just get after the quarterback, but get after the quarterback quick to help out those corners in that secondary. And thought Green Bay did a fantastic job at that. And especially then when Geno Smith goes out and Sam Howell comes in and you have a backup quarterback, what do? You get a little bit more aggressive, and that's exactly what Jeff Hafley dialed up and the Packers did. So overall, I thought that was a very solid defensive game plan from the Packers. I mean, you had Devontae Wyatt making plays, you had Kenny Clark making plays. It was good to see. No question about it. So plenty of reaction and recapping this W. You can also hit us up with your thoughts from the game last night with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Or you can also comment on the video streams if you'd rather do that. So plenty of Packers chats coming up here as we just got 3 more games left in this regular season. Elsewhere, late Friday, Brewers did it. Something that was long thought, was long expected to happen. Maybe thought it would happen in January, a little bit closer to spring training, a la like Corbin Burns last year. But the Brewers trading all-star closer Devin Williams to the New York Yankees in exchange for starting pitcher Nestor Cortez, infielder Caleb Durbin, and cash considerations. So, again, I don't think anybody's too surprised. At least they shouldn't be surprised at this. So, but maybe a little bit surprised at the timing of that. But at least I'm more positive it wasn't to the National League. It wasn't to the Dodgers, which was a team that seemed like they were getting a little bit more traction. Rumored that they were really trying to maybe get Devin Williams and such. But nonetheless, the Brewers getting a starting pitcher in return, where Cortez doesn't have. He's going to be an impending free agent after this year here too. But Durbin, who's spent some time playing both second and third base, apparently manager Pat Murphy is pumped about getting Caleb Durbin. According to Adam McCulvey, said that Pat Murphy has liked Caleb Durbin since seeing him with the Northwoods League's Fond du Lac Dock Spiders in 2020 and 2021. Quote, he fits a team that plays the way we've played recently, and we're as excited as heck. So another Northwoods League alum coming over to the Brewers here. So again, I don't think it solidifies exactly where he's going to be at. If he's going to be at second or third, I still feel like it's probably going to be third. But Matt Arnold wasn't ready to say which player the Brewers intended to move to shortstop after this move. So we'll see how it plays out here. But again, probably shouldn't be too surprised at this move Brewers making with Devin Williams being sent off to the New York Yankees. So we'll talk a little baseball here. Hoops-wise, the Bucks moving on to the NBA Cup Finals after their victory over the Atlanta Hawks over the weekend. So they will be going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night for the NBA Cup Finals Championship. We'll throw a little hoops talk in there. Badgers also picking up a win to end their 3-game losing streak, win over Butler. Speaking of the Badger volleyball team, they did advance to the Elite Eight, but fell just a bit short to advancing to the Final Four losing in straight sets, getting swept by top seed in Nebraska yesterday afternoon, early evening. So Marquette, they fell in their Sweet 16 match too. So we'll do some local sports roundup with our dude, Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News Sports Director, coming up in the next hour. And it is a Monday, so you know the drill. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in those blanks. Send me yours. Best ones I'll read on the air. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Fill it in, okay? Send them on in. If it's a good one, I'll say it on the air. So let's get things going here this morning. Plenty to get to here on a Victory Monday. You know what the leadoff's going to be. We're going to talk a little green gold to kick things off here this morning. Your reaction, your analysis, your thoughts from the game last night in that 30-13 victory, inching so close to clinching another playoff spot. Packers already more wins this year than they did last year, picking up their 10th win. What else did you notice from the game last night? Who do you want to tip your cap to from their performance last night? Hit me up with those texts, all right? I want to hear from you this morning. Should be pumped up, Packers fans, picking up a nice win on the road in Seattle. And a shout-out to, tip of the cap, to all those Packers fans that traveled over there. Man, you could hear you clear as day on the telecast. All right, lead off coming up next. 1 week from today, we're going to be doing our program live from VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. It's our annual Festivus for the rest of us program. Brandon's going to be joining us on the program on Monday. We've got the feats of strength. Come on by and see our contestants compete in the feats of strength. We got an award to give to our winners over there too. Something that they'll be able to pass down generation to generation and tell about their grandkids and all that fun stuff. We'll get to that about 8:05. We got our contestants lined up for that. We're going to be doing some airing of grievances. A lot of fun stuff planned up for Monday, and the good folks at the VFW Post at 3:05 are going to be opening up just a little bit earlier, about 6:30. 6:30. So stop on by and get some breakfast. Maybe try some of those taco omelets as well. And it sounds like too, December 23rd is going to be their customer appreciation Christmas party happening all day long with random giveaways hourly. So a lot of good stuff going to be happening at VFW Post 305 a week from tonight, leading up to Monday Night Football between the Packers and the Saints. And that's where we begin this morning, talking a little green and gold on this Victory Monday. Packers picking up the 30-13 victory over the Seattle Seahawks last night. And I think we have to start off with the defense. I want to start off with the defense because, well, all week it sure looked like Jaire Alexander was going to play. I mean, he's listed as a full participant in practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Sure seemed like it was trending in that direction that Jaire was going to suit up and play. And then Friday comes, and he's not at practice. He's not practicing. And Matt LaFleur, after practice, says just didn't look right, didn't look like he was ready. So they shut him down on Friday and already declared him out for the game, for yesterday's game. So all week last week, everybody been talking about, man, it's going to be good to get Jaire back for this game because you got DK Metcalf, you've got Jackson Smith-Njigba, you got Tyler Lockett. You know, Seattle likes to throw it over the top of you. Now we're going to get Jaire back, so you feel a little confident. And then you find out Jaire's not coming back and like poop, but probably a word that was a little bit more, inappropriate for this. So it's like, okay, what does Green Bay got to do? What does Jeff Hafley? What does the defense got to do now? Well, you got to get after Geno Smith. You got to get after the quarterback quick. Not just get after him, but you got to get after him quick, right? You don't want to let those big plays develop downfield. You don't want to let DK get behind the secondary, behind the course, because you knew that Green Bay was going to play probably a little bit more zone, try to keep everything in front of them. But to really help out that secondary, to really help out Carrington, Stokes, Keyshawn, and that, you want to get your pass rushers, you want to get your defensive front to get after Geno Smith quick. And Edgerrin Cooper coming back made a huge difference, but a credit to the whole front. Kenny Clark was making some plays. Devontae Wyatt was making some plays. Rashawn Gary was making some plays. Barre, I mean, the list goes on. So credit to that defensive front and a credit to Jeff Hafley for being aggressive in that approach. But then on top of it, when Geno Smith goes out, you got a backup quarterback coming in here. They don't let up. They don't get a little cute. They even get a little bit more aggressive in getting after Sam Howell, the backup quarterback. So defensively, I want to tip my cap to Jeff Hafley, and I want to tip my cap to a lot of those players up there, especially Edgerrin Cooper. Edgerrin Cooper coming back, leads the team in tackles, 7 total tackles, 6 were solo, picks up a sack, a couple TFLs, tackle for losses, couple passes defensed, couple quarterback hits, and the pick. The rookie linebacker out there, I thought showcased what this guy can do for hopefully years to come. Kind of a kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I know that we use that phrase a lot. A lot of people use that phrase a lot when it comes to certain players. Like we talk about it with Jaden Reed and such. But I mean, this is the linebacker that he displayed his speed and he showcased that you can bring him as a blitzer. To me, I think he's one of their more pure tackling linebackers. He's an aggressive linebacker. You saw him drop down and or drop back in the coverage and such. I know it might be a little overreaction from one game, but we saw glimpses of it all season long. And last night, it was on display. What type of player Edgerrin Cooper, I think, can be, or the player that the Packers envision Edgerrin Cooper being for the foreseeable future. So, I mean, hats off to Edgerrin Cooper for having a fantastic game last night. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. Enagbare Kiki, as they like to call him. I mean, the one drive was all him, 2 sacks and a TFL. He ends up finishing with 2 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, and a couple quarterback hits over there as well. So, I mean, it was you got to give credit. I mean, Brenton Cox Jr. picking up a sack, Rashawn Gary picking up a sack, Devontae Wyatt exploding with a nice spin move. You know what I'm talking about, right? That sweet spin move that he had to pick up a sack as well. So credit to those guys. Credit to the boys for getting after both the quarterbacks last night. I thought it was a job well done. 7 total sacks. 3 of them were on Geno Smith. 4 were on Sam Howell. So defensively, job well done. A job well done. Just that one touchdown in the fourth after Seattle got a short field after the Josh Jacobs fumble. But kept him out of the end zone. You had Carrington Valentine's interception in the end zone too. Young guy getting his first career interception. Probably a little excited now. We'll probably be like, okay, probably might want to kneel it down there instead of taking it out. But you know, the enthusiasm and the adrenaline probably pumping through the veins there a little bit. Offensively, the Packers, I mean, you couldn't start off the game in that first quarter any better. You take the opening kick and you march it down and you take a bunch of time off the clock and you get a touchdown, followed up with another touchdown in your second drive, and you're all of a sudden you're up 14-0. Jordan Love was in a little bit of a groove. They were really hammering Josh Jacobs, really employing Jaden Reed in the game plan too, as opposed to the game against the Lions where Jaden Reed was pretty quiet. And the game plan around it was pretty quiet, but you could tell they really tried to make it a focus, whether it was in the running or the passing game. But Josh Jacobs getting things started, running the ball hard. He ends up finishing with 94 yards on the ground on 26 carries. 26 carries. Overall, the Packers, 34 carries. 34 carries compared to 27 passing attempts. That offense in the first quarter, I love that mentality that Packers offense was playing with. I love that mentality of running the ball down your throat, making you try to stop it, making defenses adjust to what you want to do. Playing with, you know, the cards in your hand, just announcing your presence with order, however you want to describe, but making the defense adjust to you, not adjusting to what the defense is doing, making the defense adjusting to you. And they did a fantastic job in the beginning there in the first half, running the football, taking some shots. I mean, Christian Watson with a great catch. Romeo Doubs, of course, with the last touchdown there. I don't know how that guy caught that ball, but even the Christian Watson one on the sideline where he stayed in bounds a little bit earlier in the game. I mean, receivers were having some nice catches last night there too. So offensively, started off really well. Started off really good. Jordan Love distributing the ball. I mean, you had Watson with a couple catches, 56. Josh Jacobs, 4 catches for 42. Romeo Doubs, 3 catches for 40, including 2 tuds. Tucker Kraft with a couple catches. Jaden Reed with a few catches. Dontayvion Wicks with a couple catches as well. I mean, but in the early parts, those receivers were asked to get their blocking gloves on, right? No blocking, no rock. But it wasn't perfect, right? I mean, if we're going to be our coach speak here, it wasn't necessarily the most perfect offensive output from quarters 1 through 4. I mean, there were still a couple things, like especially, and Matt LaFleur after the game took complete blame. I mean, I think a lot of us were probably scratching our head before the end of the first half and like that clock's ticking. It's like, why is there no urgency? Why are we not hurrying up? Why are we not trying to move the ball down quicker? And what, they snapped it finally with 10 seconds after all that time clicked off, and they were able to get a pass interference, ball down at the 4, but just 4 seconds left. Kind of thought maybe Green Bay would still be able to get a quick throw, like a fade or a slant or something like that to get in there, but Green Bay elected to go with the points and go with the field goal there. But Matt LaFleur took complete blame for the lack of some solid clock management, if you will, after the game. Just wasting all that time down there. So I was like, what the? Oh, okay. Kind of weird there, a little bit, right? And Matt LaFleur took complete blame for that. But in the fourth quarter too, whether it was just a little bit of sloppy play, execution wise or whatever, but you kind of just felt like fourth quarter of the game, fourth quarter of the game up until that last touchdown where, Seattle, give them credit too, playing some better defense, forcing a couple quick 3-and-outs, but maybe a little bit of a sloppy play from the Packers offense and such, maybe getting a little too cute, little lackadaisical there, but it was like, don't let them creep back into this, especially with a backup quarterback. And then when it got to like 23-13 after that turnover and that touchdown, it's like, okay, come on now. Let's get back to our bread and butter. Let's get back to what we were doing. Let's get that mentality back, ground and pound, and let's make some good decisions and make some good throws and get some positive yardages on those running plays. So it felt like in the second half a little bit wasn't there like it was to begin the game, but at least they closed it out with that touchdown at the end and ultimately picking up the W on the road there. So again, Jordan Love, credit to the offensive line. He wasn't sacked at all last night. Yeah, had a couple of was rushed a few times, no question. Guys were getting there, a total of 6 quarterback hits, but Jordan Love getting the ball out, not taking any of those sacks and such. So credit to the offensive line play. You want to talk about consistency with the offensive line. I think it kind of gets underrated or not noticed as much, but if you notice in the game last night, watching it, that little graphic on the bottom when you're talking about the offensive line for the Packers, 2 starting combos this year, 2 different starting offensive line combinations this year. That's one of the lowest behind Buffalo and Baltimore. I mean, you want to talk about continuity and consistency. You look at that offensive line, and when you can get that, and when your guys up front, your top guys up front can stay healthy, and you're not trying to move guys left and right, and you're trying to keep guys in the same positions and have that continuity and have that consistency over there. That's a huge bonus from that offensive line, and we're seeing some really solid offensive line play. And I think it's being underrated and not maybe getting a ton of the credit that it deserves so far this year. So overall, was it a 100% perfect game? No, it wasn't a 100% perfect game. There's some stuff out there to clean up, no question about it. You look at some of the offense, you look at maybe some of the decisions making. I know there were some maybe thinking, especially what was it? One of the field goal attempts when it was like down on the 4 or something like that, 5 or whatever, and it was like 4th and 1 or something, and they elected to go for the field goal. A lot of people, and honestly, it crossed my mind too. It's like, okay, you got a backup quarterback in. You want to be a little aggressive, try to get the touchdown there, and if you don't, you're at least pinning that backup quarterback, close to their end zone and putting a little bit more pressure on him. Packers elected to go for the field goal to go up 3 possessions, 3 scores at that point. But there was like, okay, would you want to see a little bit more aggressive? Maybe they played a little bit safe at certain points in time. And it could be a little bit of a debate, could be a little bit of an argument and such over there. But overall, you pick up the win, you go to the West Coast, you go to a place like Seattle, you get that W, and you don't apologize for how you get those W's. But tip of the cap, if we're handing out, like game balls or tip of the caps, I mean, I go to Jeff Halfley. I thought he called a fantastic game defensively last night, did exactly what the defense had to do. Edgerrin Cooper coming back and just having the game that he did last night was just fantastic. Again, I think Edgerrin Cooper is a guy that we saw a glimpse that you can use him in different situations, whether it's blitzing, whether if he's got to drop back in a little zone coverage. I thought he did a fantastic job of baiting Sam Howell a couple times last night. One should have been a pick, the other was a pick. To me, I think he's probably their most purest linebacker in terms of tackling the ball carrier and such. So Edgerrin Cooper had a game. Romeo Dobbs, obviously with the 2 touchdowns. I mean, even his first one, his touchdowns weren't easy either. I mean, that first one, powering through, a little slant pass. They're not able to take him down. Powerful wide receiver, getting in there, getting in the end zone, and then of course that final touchdown at the end there, barely fingertips clearing it off the edge there. So tip of the cap, and then Dobbs, Jacobs. So I mean, he ran hard. Even give Seattle credit; they kind of buckled down in their run defense. Some hard fought yards there. Not a ton in the second half compared to the first half. Obviously, the turnover there, you don't want to see that happen. But no, if I had to pick a player of the game, I'm going Edgerrin Cooper. It was that guy. That guy was a lot of fun to watch last night. And I hope he continues to just stack that success and continue to get better and continue, because I think he can be a lights out player, a very unique linebacker that you can put him in different positions to quote the late great Kevin Green to affect games. You can bring him on blitzes. You can do different things with him. So I'm excited to see the career path of 56. It's good to see him healthy. And we've talked a lot about, you know, Jair being such a pivotal player within this defense for what Jeff Halfley wants to do. Maybe play a little bit more aggressive coverage, play a little bit of aggressive, man-to-man coverage. But I think Edgerrin Cooper also showcased last night too that he can be a pretty important part of this defense. I mean, it's gone in different ways. Earlier in the season, we were talking about Evan Williams, the rookie safety, and how much of an impact he has made on the back end with Xavier McKinney back there. And then it's Jair, but Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie, he's making a case too why he is a very, very important part to this Packers defense, to the success of this Packers defense. Your thoughts, your reaction, hit us up with a text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you can comment on the video streams if you'd rather do that, or hit us up on the socials as well. X/Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. We'll take a quick break. We'll get to some of your texts. Finish up the first hour. More Green and Gold reactions after this Victory Monday coming up after these quick words. Christmas coming up next week. If you're hosting or maybe you're traveling, but you need to bring some food, it's like a potluck or something like that, and you're not sure where to go or what to get, or you need a little bit of help, make sure you go visit our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Maybe you were one that was at their holiday event this past Friday night. A lot of people over there, some good stuff over there too. So but if you need to stop by and maybe get some supplies or get ready for a little Christmas dinner coming up next week and such, you can get it all at our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. We were just there this past weekend picking up some supplies and such, and I know Hy-Vee just posted up on their Facebook page. That's why you want to make sure you follow along on their Facebook page because sometimes they'll have a quick sale like today and tomorrow. It's the frozen sack sale, 10% off 10% off on all frozen food items store wide with the coupon code over there too. Plus, they got some Alaskan crab in too. So if you want that to put up with your Christmas dinner, make sure you stop by Hy-Vee and take advantage of some of the deals over there at our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. And grab yourself some man cave lights if you're of age. Those are perfect stocking stuffers. Especially coming up here too with some games, some big time games. You want to make sure you're loaded up with some man cave light and such, and maybe grab some Dan Good burgers to put on the grill, and don't forget to get a little bottle of Victory Scotch over there too. Gotta get our own Victory Scotch, right? We got to figure out our own Victory Scotch there. Right now, it's just whatever Scotch is your go-to over there. So we got quite a few texts to catch up on. Let's go to that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Josh, a little bit earlier, Josh Colfax says Cooper is a dog. I agree with you there, man. We've got Chris saying, what an absolute fantastic performance from the defensive front last night. Agree with you. Jeff Hafley had a perfect game plan going, had to get after the quarterback quick and not allowing the receivers to get open against that zone coverage. It was great to see all the different players get in the action in the pass rush. We talked about some of the guys who were able to rack up some sacks and such, but how about this? 7 sacks from 6 different players and 12 quarterback hits from 9 different players last night. So it wasn't just like a couple dudes. It was like all hands on deck. So credit to a bunch of different players in that front 7 there, getting after the quarterback. Another Dan over here says, first time texter. Appreciate you texting over there. Dan says, Edgerrin Cooper is such a stud. I cannot wait to see his future next few years with the Packers. Hopefully, this is just the beginning of something special over there. And finally, the Packers getting that inside linebacker that can be a dominant inside linebacker for years to come. Rick with a quick text as well, saying that it was a fantastic performance from the Packers defense. Really glad to see that their defensive coordinator dialed up some pressure to get after the quarterback. Offensively, we've got Chris saying fantastic performance from the offense in the first half, especially in that first quarter, setting the tone, doing what they do, killing time, winning the time of possession battle. Would have liked to have seen Matt LaFleur maybe be a little bit more aggressive in some of his play calls and going for fourth downs and potentially getting some touchdowns instead of settling for field goals all the time. Definitely a couple of questionable decisions in the second half, but overall, never apologize, never complain about a win. 10th win of the season and on verge of another postseason run. It's good to be a Packers fan. We've got C-Bomb saying that was the most complete game we have seen all season. Improvement every week. Cooper was unreal. Gary picking it up again. Offense was great all around. Great performance. Build off of it. Go Pack, go. And then Eric got really quick saying, I wish I would have seen a little bit more of a cleaner performance from the Packers offense in the second half. Not complaining at all, not trying to complain at all. Just would like to see from quarter 1 to quarter 4 a complete dominant offensive performance. I do worry if they have to play Detroit in the playoffs, if they get into a shootout with them. One at a time, though, right? One game at a time here. So let's. Who knows if we'll play Detroit again this year? Probably. I think maybe some Packers fans. I think some Packers fans maybe want another round 3. A little bit of round 3 action. Try to get after them again. But, let's get to the postseason first, okay? Before we talk about, who to play and such in the postseason, let's get to the postseason first. And Green Bay can do that with a W a week from tonight against the New Orleans Saints. So, yeah, I think, if we asked who was your player of the game or who was your, who gets a tip of the cap or a game ball, Edgerrin Cooper's got to be at the top of everybody's list if he's now 1, 2 at that point, 2, 3, top 3, not 2. Top 2, not 2, excuse me, the whole Devontae Adams former quote there, but gosh, yeah, it was so good to see 56 out there just making plays and all over the field. I was just even like early in the game, was it the first offensive drive from Seattle? It's third down and such, and to pick up a third down sack to end that drive. It was just I was so pumped up to see that pass rush and seeing those guys win and in different ways, whether it was just physicality, whether it was, scheming and such. What was the one Cooper sack that he had? He was kind of like pushing a guard away to open up, a spot for a teammate, but it ends up helping out Cooper, or it was Devontae Wyatt with the sweet spin move to get after Geno Smith and such. You had guys all over the field on the defensive front and the front 7 making some darn plays. It's good to see. It's good to see that front 7 helping out the secondary, because raise your hand. I'll admit it. I was a little bit worried. It's like, oh crap, no Jaire in this game. How is this secondary going to do? Is it going to be a high score? Is it going to be a little bit of shootout? Are they going to be able to, slow it down here a little bit? Is the pass rush going to be able to get after them? And the thing is that I know Seattle's offensive line isn't great. They were banged up and they weren't great to begin with. But you look at the week prior, you had Detroit banged up on defense, banged up on the defensive front, and they played lights out. And I think that's a direct relation to their coaching staff and to their head coach. So it's like, okay, on paper, we talked about it Friday. It's like Packers have the advantage. Are they going to take advantage of it? Are they going to be able to use their advantage of their front 7 and attack and go after that banged up, poor offensive line from Seattle? And they did. They absolutely did. They didn't play down to the competition. They didn't play a little too cute or anything like that. They were aggressive. And it was absolutely fantastic to see. Now, I don't, New Orleans, who knows who's going to play quarterback for them next week, if Derek Carr's going to be back in the lineup or such. But, I got to imagine maybe a little bit of a similar approach to just being aggressive and trying to get after the quarterback. And then you got Minnesota, not to look too far ahead, but then you got Minnesota coming up. You don't want Sam Darnold sitting back there and, picking apart the secondary and targeting Justin Jefferson and getting the ball to Addison and his other weapons and such, right? We don't want to see that. So I really hope in these next couple weeks we really see this defensive front just continue to eat quarterbacks, to continue to get after them, continuing to get in the backfield and just shutting them down and constantly putting that pressure on them. That's what I hope to see. I know Green Bay, too, kind of took the running game out of there. You had Zach over there with the long touchdown run, 24 yards there, but that was pretty much the only positive thing that Seattle had in their running game last night. Again, Green Bay jumping out to a 14-0 lead kind of changes the game plan offensively a little bit, but again, complementary football. You have your offense that's taken a lot of time off their opening drives. They're on their touchdown drives, coming away with touchdowns, putting opponents in a deep hole right away. It's perfect complementary football. and I honestly, I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before for Green Bay in the last few years, but on a consistent rate, it just feels like LaFleur and Jeff Hafley are on a similar page. Like they have the same mindset, they know the game plan. They're in sync. They're incognito. They're like it's like okay, we're gonna run offensively, and they talked a little bit about it last night on the telecast, and that was kind of an issue with Seattle's team at the beginning of the year, where hey, they were throwing the ball a ton, but not really. And then they started off hot, but then they went through that stretch of losing games. It's like okay, let's play a little bit more complementary football. Let's try to run the football a little bit more. Helps out your defense and such, puts them in a better position. Green Bay's doing that. And they've been doing it for a while now. Offense, staying out on the field, coming away with touchdowns, running the football, taking the time off the clock. Defense gets out there, doing their thing right now. It's is it that much of an overreaction to say that, boy, this is the most that we've seen some complementary football from offensive and defensive side in Green Bay on a consistent rate as much as we've seen this year than for I don't know, a long time? I don't think it's that far-fetched, is it? I'll tell you right now who my, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying is, or what my I'm not saying, I'm just saying is, I'm not saying that Edgerrin Cooper's already a top tier linebacker in the league, but I'm just saying that guy is going to be talked about more and more for years to come. I'm all on Edgerrin Cooper here this morning. I loved watching that guy play last night. I loved the physicality that he was playing with. I loved the effort he was playing with last night, all over the field. And I loved what Jeff Hafley apparently told the production crew, and Collinsworth was talking a little bit about it last night during the telecast. Effort, where Jeff Hafley was talking about effort. Like if you're not going to have effort, you're not playing. If you're not going to show me effort, you're not going to display effort, you're not playing. And Edgerrin Cooper was showing effort with a capital E last night. And to seeing these guys play some inspired ball, some that mentality that they displayed last night, man, I was so happy to see that. And golly, I'm bullish on Edgerrin Cooper right now. I know it's just one game in that, but we've talked a little bit about him off and on throughout the season. Like, dude needs more snaps. He needs more playing time in that. He's been out dealing with a hamstring injury. He comes out last night, and boy, did he ball out when this team needed a presence out there. So I'm not saying he's a top tier linebacker right now, but I'm just saying Edgerrin Cooper is on his way to maybe being. No, I'm not saying maybe. He is on his way to being talked about more in years to come as a defensive playmaker on this team. All right, continue to send me your texts and thoughts. We'll get back to some more Green and Gold chats coming up in a little bit. We've got Justice Cleveland joining us for the next hour. We'll do some local sports roundup with him. Brewers trading Devin Williams. Your thoughts, Brewers fans? It stinks, right? I mean, he's one of the best closers in Major League Baseball. You don't like to see your team moving on from some of your best players. Nobody likes that. But we kind of expected it, right? We knew it was going to happen. So maybe the better question here is, what are your thoughts on the return? What are your thoughts on the return that the Brewers got from Devin Williams? Remember, Brewers were winning a bunch of games too. Not to downplay Devin Williams or anything like that, but the Brewers won a lot of games in the first half of last year without him too. They got a couple options that they could go to. So your thoughts, your reaction, your analysis on the return that the Brewers got. Okay? I want to talk a little baseball and obviously some hoops too with the Bucks advancing to the NBA Cup Finals. 1 hour in this Victory Monday. Come on. Let's get some Victory Scotch, Victory Coffee flowing here this morning. Second hour on this Victory Monday coming at you. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in from. Rather foggy starts this morning, too, which, over the weekend, too, with that freezing rain, it is a good reminder that we are at that point in time of the year where if we get some snow or some slippery stretches and such, and it's during the school week, you want to make sure you stay in tune to school closings and delays, and you can do that by visiting Sports Talk 105.1. It is the WEAU 13 News First Alert school closings brought to you by Hovland's and Service Master of Chippewa Valley. So that voice here is WEAU 13 News' very own Justice Cleveland.
I have nothing to do with the weather, and that's a good thing.
Yes. So
keep me away from the forecasting and the math involved.
Well, happy Monday to you, sir. I hope you have a better cup of. I brewed an awful coffee this morning. Not a very good Victory Monday coffee.
I'm an ice brewed guy now, so it kind of you can make a bad cup, but
yeah,
cream kind of just covers up everything there.
Yeah,
it's more medicinal at this point for me. Just get the caffeine in me and wake me up.
I tried to put a peppermint thing in there, and that didn't help either.
So. You're going to say pepper first. I'm like, there's your first problem. Jalapeno coffee. I'm sure somebody makes it.
Oh, there's
every flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thanks for stopping by, man.
Oh, no problem. Balmy outside there.
Yeah, I was going to say you don't have to. Was it last week? It was really.
Yeah. This is. It's funny how quickly you go from like 17 degrees feels warm after what we were having last week.
Yep.
And this feels just like 30s feel great.
Yep. You can put on a vest instead of your winter coat.
Right.
Feeling good, man. So lots to catch up on, though, don't we? I mean, we got Packers, we've got Brewers, we've got, throwing Bucks in the NBA Cup Finals.
Badgers found out how to win again.
Exactly, right? I mean, it goes back to the phrase you always say about Badgers.
Yeah.
They can win any game, and they can also lose any game. So
and we saw that last. I mean, granted, it wasn't any. The teams they were playing were tough teams.
Yeah,
but that to get a win back and should play like they should.
Mm-hmm.
I still stay in the rankings. I would say this week.
Yeah, it should come out later today or later.
Yeah, I see them at like 25, like right there. If they don't fall out,
right. Yep, I agree. So, I want to lead it off. We'll get to a little local sports roundup here in a little bit, but going back to Friday, the Devin Williams trade with the Brewers. I don't think it surprised a lot of people because it kept out there, and I think it was like, okay, similar to Corbin Burns' final year, maybe looking at moving on from him, maybe a little bit sooner than what was kind of thought, because I think it was kind of like, okay, maybe it would happen in January or closer to spring training like Corbin Burns was last year. But Friday, a little bit of Friday news dump. He gets sent to the Yankees for a starting pitcher, Cortez, and then infielder Durbin, who apparently Pat Murphy is very high on from watching him for 2 years in the Northwoods League at the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders.
See,
over there. So
come on, way to go Northwoods League. I like that.
Yep, and some cash in return. So, I mean, were you that surprised that it happened?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah,
it was one of those when they were dealing with the contract situation earlier in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, they're kind of just setting it up. They weren't going to sign him long term,
right?
The Brewers aren't going to lock up that much money in a closer at this point. So it wasn't a surprise. I mean, again, some great pitching for the Brewers done by Devin Williams, and I don't want to discount anything like that, but they kind of just went through the same thing a couple of years ago, getting rid of Josh Hader, because that's basically what it ended up being instead of. But I feel like they got a little more tangible, return here for Devin Williams than they did for Hader, and you're doing it not in the midst when you're in first place. You're doing it in the off season. So yeah, great memories, great guy to have on the team. But I think with way McGill pitched last year, when he was closing, it's like, okay, we can probably survive without Devin Williams. And again, the stuff he has when he's on is electric. But there's also the stuff, guy who in the bright lights at times got rattled.
The last image we have of Devin Williams as a Brewer, right?
Yep.
As that postseason game.
Yeah, and you go back to him punching the wall.
Oh gosh, yeah,
and missing I mean, there's just some stuff that it's like you look at it and you're like, you hope that he can handle. Like, New York's going to be. It's a whole different world when you're in that New York media where every game is examined like it's a playoff game.
Right.
There aren't a lot of throwaway games for the Yankees with that media market that they're in. He's going to be under the spotlight the whole time. And if he doesn't deliver right away, that vice will close with the media there.
How much do you think it factored into last year too? I mean, remember Devin Williams missed the first half of the season, and the Brewers were in they were in first place
Right.
and winning a bunch of games. Trevor McGill was in there, Do you think that factored into it a little bit, that they were like, okay, we feel maybe more comfortable about moving on from him this year?
Yeah, if they had struggled and were going through different guys trying to find a replacement for Williams, I think that would have been a different factor here. But the fact that McGill came in and pitched at really was great as a closer there. And you had two closers basically at one point of the team. So
Right.
I think they felt like, okay, we can do this. And they've been really, really good at developing those late relievers. And you have guys they already have on the roster that could do that job if needed, just because of the amount of guys they have that can just throw with speed. Now, granted, you're not going to find the movement that Williams has pretty much anywhere. Yeah, the airbenders. I mean, but you can survive, I think, with somebody else other than him. But it's always tough when you know that a world-class talent is probably not due to be with your team for much longer. And that's kind of how it felt with Williams. So, yeah, not a surprise at all.
Yeah, we don't like to see our favorite teams trade off their best players. Nobody likes that.
Right.
I don't care what sport it is or what league or anything like that. It's just it's different in baseball especially when it comes to a team like the Brewers.
Yeah, the economics of being that small market team.
Right.
That's kind of what you've come to expect. You'll get you'll get your guys that are signed for those long-term contracts, your Christian Yelich.
Right.
And then, but it seems like it's mostly position players, especially for the Brewers, because you can get such a return for pitching. I feel like now, closing, you're not going to get as much as a starting pitcher, and those trades have worked out. The guys at the Brewers have been so, other than the Josh Hader one's the one that just kind of floats out there. But
yes,
we'll pretend that one didn't happen. But no, I think Arnold's done such a good job getting some young talent too, and they need it with Adames gone. You're going to be shuffling your infield more than likely, and you have a guy that can maybe step in day one and start playing for you.
Yeah, you got Cortez as you got a starting pitcher coming in, and I know he's going to be a free agent after this year too. But I feel like, and that's to fill in for this year. But I also feel like Durbin might be the big piece in this, where they vision him, and they got some. Wasn't just like it sounds like it was a few $1 million they got in cash coming back too.
Well, you kind of just touched on it. I mean, with the Brewers, the more pressing need is starting pitching. You have enough guys, I think, that in the back into that bullpen that can get the job done as a closer. Whereas starting pitching, the depth there is very thin going into this season.
Yep.
So I think you get that, and even if it's for a year, well, you're only going to have Devin Williams more than likely for another year too.
Right.
And with the starting pitcher, it's easier to move if say the season just doesn't go the way you want it. You have that chip of a starting pitcher that you can probably get some more stuff in return for future seasons. It's you got to think almost three-dimensional chess when you're a GM. Is like, okay, well, if that doesn't work, we have another piece that we can continue to build,
and probably gives them a little bit more just insurance in case Brandon Woodruff doesn't come back to form.
Right, and that's that's the big X factor in this. Is like if Woodruff comes back and looks like he did before, then you've got top three there, and you've the young guys that developed this last year too. Then you have a solid 5-man rotation that's ready to go.
Right,
but then if Woodruff's that question mark, then you're kind of trying to fill in that role. So I think it gives you a little more depth, especially going into spring training.
Yeah, and I know Robert Gasser's probably not pitching it all day. I mean, they said maybe by September, but at that point he might just be minor league after that. So it kind of fills in for the loss of Robert Gasser this year too. The limited time we saw him last year, but a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw a lot of good stuff from those young pitchers, but with health and just that was the problem. The amazing thing with the Brewers last year is the guys they were able to bring up and immediately have success with.
Right.
So I think, you just keep that depth going and you'll be in a good place.
Absolutely. I agree. So, it stinks to see. I mean, no more Willie, which we knew. Devin, we knew at some point it was going to happen in that. So, but, get this at some point, you got to trust the manager or the general manager of the year, right?
Right.
Matt Arnold, know kind of what he's doing here a little bit.
It's been working. I mean, it works until it doesn't.
Right.
Then when it doesn't, it looks bad because you're a small market and usually it collapses real quick but thankfully the Brewers really have only had one season like that in the last 15 years that they really haven't been in contention. The year that Renicky was fired, they struggled. And then the year after, I think they went like 500 or something like that with Kellen.
Yep.
But then, I mean, they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
They've been there, and that you got to give a lot of credit to that Brewers front office staff from Stearns now to Arnold of just being able to replenish and be competitive.
Right. I do wonder, with the Caleb Durbin coming over here, and Pat Murphy said it, he's a guy that fits what we're doing or what we did last year. And I think he's kind of talking about maybe more the offensive side.
Yeah.
Because he's not a power guy.
What's his height?
He's like 5'6".
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He's like, I just remember when I was at Brewers spring training game I was at last year that everybody starting was like 22 years old and under like 6 feet tall.
Oh yeah,
Because
he's 5'6". So.
Yeah, they have a type that they're looking for right now, and it's just these guys that can just play all around good are contact hitters.
Yep.
Which I love the fact that that's come back into baseball. That you can, especially with the stealing, being up and just being able to do a little more hit and run and that kind of stuff. It's fun to see those scrappy guys coming on those rosters.
It's funny you say, because this is a guy too that steals a lot of base. I'm looking at his minor league stuff. 2024, he stole a total of 31 bases. 2023, he stole a total of 36 bases.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's another guy that, again, he's the most home runs he's hit in a season was actually this past year, 10 over there in how many at bats? 406 plate appearances, 335 at bats. So again, not a power guy. That doesn't mean that they're not going to try to find another power guy to fill in the void by Willy Adames. But yeah, it fits that Bryce Terang, Joey Ortiz, Sal Frelick, type of mold.
Just gritty. Even Jackson Chourio. I mean, he can hit with some power, but I mean, he's a guy who can slap the ball to all sides of the field. So yeah, it's really, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited just talking about like this type of baseball that they've brought, that Murphy has brought to the Brewers after, a lot of times of it being so analytical at times, it just seemed stale. You were just waiting for the big home run. Now, granted, that doesn't mean the offense doesn't go in the lulls, and we saw that again at times last year, but they'll find somebody. They're going to have to find a little more power just to throw in there, but I like what they have coming back. And, if Christian Yelich comes back and that back is in a good place, that'll help the Brewers as well.
Because, I mean, you look at it, yes, you mentioned Yelich, you got Contreras, hopefully Hoskins can get a little bit, that average up a little bit more, sort of thing. But he was coming back from an ACL. We'll see if that factored into it too. So it's another interesting, intriguing mixture.
Yeah, and they'll find somebody like a Gary Sanchez that they had last year that can come in and add a little pop when needed. I was totally, he's gone now. With the Sanchez thing originally, I'm like, oh, I don't like this move at all. But he came in and actually did a great job with them and got himself rewarded by doing such a good job for the Brewers. So yeah, if you can bring in another one of those guys to come in and just reshore up that lineup with some power, it's going to look good for the Brewers this year.
And I'll be curious too with Garrett Mitchell, because he missed a lot of time with that injury, but then towards the end he started to show that power a little bit more too.
That's the guy, if you can see him turn that corner, and he has superstar written around him. And I mean, I think Jackson Chourio is the superstar of this team, especially after this last year. But I think Garrett Mitchell, if he can just stay on the field, I mean, fans love him.
Yep.
They have for a few seasons here. If he can just get to that level, I mean, sky's the limit, I think, for him too.
Yeah. I mean, I know he doesn't want to be this position at every single day, but I mean, when if Mitchell's there, you got a Gold Glove winner now in right field. You got Jackson Chourio, who seems like he's better suited in left field.
Yeah.
Yelly, I mean, maybe more DH this year, even though he may not like that. But
if with a back issue, you don't. I mean, if it's 100% healed and he feels great, have him out there. But if it's just going to be him swinging the bat, you need his bat out there more than you need his glove at this point, because you have plenty of guys who can play out there.
Exactly. Now. Yep. All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll get back to some more Green and Gold chat on this Victory Monday. Stick around. We'll be back after these few words. If you are an employer or maybe a youth team, like maybe hoops or maybe getting ready for Little League and such, and you need some new uniforms, or you want to set up an online store for your fans to purchase some of your swag, Resonance Branding Company, our good friends over there, can help set you up. Again, if you're maybe looking for some new shirts, if you're an employer for your staff, or maybe looking for some goodies, and again, they can help you out with those youth teams there too. If you're looking for some new jerseys or such, or trying to raise some funds for your little league team, they can set you up with an online store so parents and fans can purchase some merchandise and help raise some funds over there too. Resonance Branding Company. Check them out online at resonancebrandingcompany.com, or you can check out their shop, 1728 Spooner Avenue, Suite C in Altoona. Let's talk a little. We'll get to some local sports roundup probably here in just a few minutes. Packers, obviously that's the big topic for a lot of people on a Victory Monday.
Of course.
Especially when it was a primetime late night game last night on NBC over there, WEAU. So we had quite a few people saying this was the most complete game that they have seen and such. Maybe so. I think there was still maybe, Matt LaFleur talked about after the game, there was still like a couple, and maybe some questionable clock management decisions at that point. So, but defensively, I look at this game. I mean, I think if you ask anybody after Thursday and you're like, okay, Jair practice full for a second day in a row, you're like, okay, that guy's playing.
Right.
And then to come to find out, nope, he's not. And you're going up against DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith-Njigba and Tyler Lockett, like, crap. Are they just going to throw it all over? I give credit to Jeff Hafley and the defensive game plan in that front. They got after Geno Smith early. And then when Sam Howell comes in a backup quarterback, felt like they got even more aggressive getting after him. I tip my cap to Edgerrin Cooper and Jeff Hafley for the performance from last night.
Yeah, I think definitely the defense. That was probably maybe defensively maybe the most complete game they've played. I think offense, there's a couple things that you want to clean up. The fumble, which again, if you're running the guy 27 times a game,
right,
it might happen twice a year like it has. But yeah, I think on defense, I mean, I was more than impressed, especially when Howell came in, they just smothered him.
Yeah,
like they didn't give him a chance to get comfortable out there. They came in and was it 7 sacks you end up with in the end of the? I mean, that's what when Hafley came into the mix and was added as a coach, you wanted to see more pressure, and it's kind of been hit or miss this year. But to me, that's what that team's capable of. And it wasn't Edgerrin had a great game, but there were other guys, and there's a lot of guys that are developing now.
7 sacks, 6 of them from different players.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to have that happen, that tells you that this team is bought so much into this philosophy, and that everybody from the ground up it's starting to figure it out. So I think this is hopefully it's something that they can take. I mean, obviously you got another New Orleans is going to be a tough game. I think it really is. You don't know what, and who knows what kind of weather we're going to have next Monday. But yeah, I think going the rest of the season, if this defense keeps playing like this and the offense with the controlling of the ball,
it's complementary football to a T, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. Yeah.
And I pose this and there's been games of this over the years, but it just feels like LaFleur and Hafley, they know what they want to do. Like they're working together. They know exactly what the game plan is going to be. Offensively, we're going to run the football. We're going to take a lot of time off that clock. We're going to punch it in, with the touchdown, helping out the defense, in that part too, especially with the banged up secondary.
Right.
At that point, it just feels like Hafley and LaFleur are in sync right now.
And I think there's probably a lot of, there's probably fans out there who would love to see them just open it up more wide open with the passing game and pass, which they could do if they had to, but they don't have to.
Right.
And the fact that you're less prone to make mistakes when you're running the ball and you're running it successfully in some of the holes that they were created, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
I love it's something we have not seen in Green Bay in a long time is where that running game, it's run first.
Right.
And it takes so much pressure off of Jordan Love.
And I feel like that's going to be a benefit when they go on the road in the playoffs, is if you can be that running team.
Take the crowd out of it.
Exactly.
Collinsworth, I think, said he's like, nothing takes a crowd out of a game better than like a good running game.
Yep.
Like a first down run just slows that, the crowd just quiets real quick. And the fact that they were doing that so much in the first half, never even let the 12th man get into the game.
Hell, I was hearing "Go Pack, Go" chants more times.
The whole game.
Yeah,
you really were, and that had to be a stun for Seattle
Mhm.
fan base that is, prides themselves on being the loudest in the league. So I think if you can keep going with the way they are going with the running game, and then you'll gash them big every once in a while. I mean, Christian Watson's got the Tecmo Bowl like average for per reception
Right.
there right now. It's you got Reed back involved in the offense. He was targeted. He was 6. I think Romeo was 6, and so was Watson. So you have your top 3 guys.
You throw in Tucker Kraft in there who can go off on a day. So.
And I would say that was the only thing that like Seattle really shut down on them was like the tight ends just 1 catch, I think, the whole game. But that's okay because you have so many different weapons. It doesn't have to be the same thing. And that's, going to it now is LaFleur 66 and 33 or something like that in his career, or 31.
Yeah.
The ability for him to continue to evolve that offense, that they do not stick completely with one thing. They find ways to add little wrinkles. That's the key. And I think that's what, you go back to Mike McCarthy, and again, Super Bowl winning coach. But at the end, it seemed like the offense kind of stopped evolving. And I don't know if that's all McCarthy. Some of that might have been the fact that Aaron Rodgers had a lot of say in that offense too, and he wanted to pass. I think Love just seems like he's content with whatever the game plan is. The game plan's him handing the ball off 27 times. He's got no problem with that.
Right. It's like he's dictating what he's making the defense adapt to him.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of like, okay, we got to change this and all that. I loved his honesty when he was asked right before halftime, what's working at offense? Everything.
Yeah.
Everything's working right now. It was.
Yeah. What was it in the third quarter? There's one play that just stuck out in my head, and it was like a first down play. It was a fake run to Jacobs where they just did the gash play. It was a timing route.
Yep.
And it was so perfect. It was like as soon as they faked the handoff to Jacobs, he hit his receiver.
It was to Wicks. I think I know which play you're talking. Yep.
Yeah, for a first down. But it was just like that's how in tune this offense is. And they still, you're still missing plays. And there's like you said, there's some things they still need to clean up. But
right.
I think this team's built for the playoffs. As long as I think Jacobs is a key.
Yes.
I don't know if he's the offensive MVP. He's the glue right now on that offense. So that's where with it being a running back, you're always nervous when he takes that big hit.
Right.
But he usually pops right back up. So
reminds me of Mighty Mouse. I don't know if that's been a nickname for him or anything like that. But I mean, he's not the tallest guy in the world.
No,
and
the shiftiness,
just,
and the way he hits the hole. I mean, that's what I like. I'll go back to Aaron Jones with the same thing. Like the guy could hit a hole. He didn't shy away from contact. It was always like, I'm going to hit this last hit, even if it only gets me another yard. I'm going to hit that hole as hard as I can. But Jacobs is just, from where Jones was, and again, not discounting, he's having a great season in Minnesota as well. But Josh Jacobs, I think the right move was made by Gutekunst because I think Jacobs has brought just a little extra that Jones just didn't have, and staying on the field because Jones just was getting the injury.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's been a brilliant move.
I think if it is Jones, again, not to take anything away from him because he's a very talented player, but I could see this team maybe being more reliant on the pass if Jones was in this lineup right now.
Yeah, and Jones is a great receiver too. So I think you had that, but Jacobs has shown that you can use him in that passing game just as well. So
exactly.
I think Jacobs has just brought that, changed the dimension of the offense to where it was like, oh, Green Bay has all these wide receivers and a running back too. Green Bay has this outstanding running back and also complementary wide receivers, and you don't know who's going to gash you, and that's huge when this day and age in the NFL.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so last 4 games, that would be Seattle, Detroit, Miami, and San Francisco. Matt Schneidman just posted this. 38 points, 30 points, 31 points, 30 points. Jordan Love, you'd think 4 games is not a lot. 872 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions after 11 interceptions in his first 8 games. Just 3 sacks. Josh Jacobs, 425 total yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 different leading receivers, Dobbs, Kraft, and Watson.
Yeah. I mean, that is exactly what you want when you're a head coach in the NFL, is just the element of surprise is there because, again, you have so many different weapons that you can use, and you can do it in so many different ways. Defenses do not know. They're on their heels, and if you can keep it from being not one-dimensional, you have a definite chance of moving far in the tournament. If you can, you should be able to get in, knock on wood. If the Vikings just clinching the spot, the Packers are sitting right there. But yeah, I mean, you are in great position for postseason success.
Exactly. I mean, they had a scenario to open up the week. It got close. If San Francisco and Rams would have tied, I mean, for crying out loud, and then Atlanta would have to lose tonight, but then
Yeah.
Green Bay would have got in. But I mean, that tells you one thing. That was already that you're talking about a clinching scenario, and then they win. Yeah, they win next week. They're in.
Yeah.
Is the latest one. So,
And if we see, I mean, every team has its weaknesses.
mhm.
I mean, you watched that Bills Detroit game yesterday, and
You'd think at some point Detroit's going to run out of defensive players.
yeah, I mean, you lose 2 starting defensive backs and a
Mhm.
defensive lineman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And they, that's a tough thing because some teams you get healthier as the year goes. Like Detroit's starting to lose guys,
Mm-hmm.
but offensively they're still there.
Yeah.
And they, Bills kept building that lead, and then Jared Goff and that offense just kept finding a way. And the screen game is something I don't feel like we haven't seen since the 90s.
Right.
Like they are the best screen team I've seen since like those Bill Walsh and
Mhm.
George Seifert San Francisco 49ers teams where they just
Roger Craig all day, man.
yeah, exactly. Amply,
Yeah.
just these different guys that they used to throw out there. And that to me, that's what it looks like with
Mhm.
with watching that Lions team. It's like they just work the screen. So it's such a part of their running game.
Yep.
But it's and their defense is gonna be that's a big thing for all these teams. I mean, the Packers have given up points too.
Mm-hmm.
These offenses, if they get clicking, it's hard to stop any of them. But man, Packers are in good position.
Yeah.
I really do feel like they're in a good position.
I do too. So, and I thought it was an interesting comment too from Collinsworth last night. Because they were talking about, you look at the top 3 running backs, or even outside the top 3, but all these running backs that have changed teams and they're just dominating right now. I thought you made a really good point. He's like, Kansas City Chiefs did it because everybody's like, we got to play too high safety going up against Kansas City and that. So what are teams doing now? They're running the football. Again, it's just another example of like everything's a cycle.
Yes,
And
exactly.
when it comes to it, okay, Kansas City's got to do this. So defenses have got to do this. Then the offenses adapt, and then it's going to change. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going.
And it's such a copycat league where
Mhm.
if something works defensively, teams will go to that right away. And
Yep.
then obviously somebody's going to adapt.
Mhm.
That's just, I mean, that's the nature of the NFL for existence
Right.
is it's just adapt. Because if you don't, you can't run the same offense you were running in 1980
Right.
that you run now, but you can run variations to
Mhm.
catch people off surprise. And I think that's like the Lions with the screen games. Like all of
Yeah.
a sudden, that's starting to get something like that coming back. You've seen a lot more double tight end, I think, lately
Right.
too, as well.
Yeah.
So
It's like I think I said it last week with the Lions offense. It like annoys me watching them because they just make it look so easy.
no, they really do.
It's just like, oh, stop it. It's so simple. It looks like.
You got to have the right pieces too. When you have
Exactly,
2
yeah.
running backs like they have, that
Mhm.
I mean, the amount of yardage they're both putting up together,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't seen that in years.
Mm-mm.
And that's fun to watch though too. I mean, as much as Packer fans probably don't want to admit it, but the Lions are a fun team to watch. But we saw them come back down to earth a little bit, but still score. Almost still beat the Bills, which is a team that you could arguably say is the front runner in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl with the Chiefs there. So
Especially with Patrick Mahomes now banged up a little bit here too. We'll see how that
yeah,
plays out. So, but yeah, it's. Is it fair to say at this point in time? I know we got 2 games tonight, but with 3 weeks left in the season, you can make the case for maybe a few different teams hoisting Lombardi at the end of the
I
season.
think so.
You
I
know,
think
maybe a little bit. It was like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be Lions and Chiefs, but wait, Buffalo's playing now, then Philly. You throw in these teams, not to discredit Minnesota either.
yeah.
The parity there, I think, is there a little bit. I think there's a tier. I don't know about if the Rams do catch fire here, I don't want to
Yeah.
play that offense at
For-
this point. So.
And that's the thing. It's like even if you're not on that top tier,
Mhm.
we've seen all those teams on that second tier put it together for games and take down some of these top teams.
Yeah.
So I think going into the playoffs, it's going to be. We talked about this. It's just going to be wild.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have some really fun matchups because again, they're good teams.
Mhm.
There's great teams, but they're all have a little bit of a weakness. And if one of those weaker teams finds a way
Mhm.
of putting it all together, I think we're gonna have some upsets. I really do.
Yep. You mentioned just to wrap it up here too, when you were talking about Matt LaFleur and his, the versatility and willing to adapt in that. I mean, the first person I thought of too is Andy Reid, and I'm not comparing Matt LaFleur to Andy Reid by any means, but you look at a guy who's been in the league for a long time, and that's a guy. I think you saw him, guy who could be as old school as he wants to be, but it's like every year he's doing something different offensively. Like with yes, it helps to have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and all that, but to still have the success
Yeah.
he's doing and how he has adapted over the years offensively too is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes to just being able to trust your
Mhm.
coaches
Yeah.
and not be like, okay, no, I want to do it this way, and this is the way we've always done it.
Mhm.
And I think Bill Belichick was the same way with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
He had his way of like the way he wanted to lead a team,
Mhm.
but those teams don't stay successful the way they do by
Mhm.
not adapting and having a lot of high end coaches that came through there and help him get to that. And I think Andy Reid's the same way. It's like
Mhm.
he trusts his coaches doing different wrinkles and it's worked. And I think Matt LaFleur's been the same way.
Yep.
Like he's really like Adam Stanovich has done a great job stepping in there and on the
Mhm.
offensive side. Butkus has got that offensive line
Yeah.
humming as well.
Mhm.
And they work so well with just finding a way to use the personnel they have and really adapt and making it to the point where it's such a the riches they have on that offense and the different things that they can throw out there. It just for defenses, it just like I said, they're always back on their heels because they don't know where you can gash them at.
Exactly. All right, we got to take our final break for this hour. We're going to finish it up with some local sports roundup, and we'll get back to some more of your texts. Hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Quick break, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes to wrap up this second hour. If it's that point in time of the year where you got to get an oil change or maybe got to get some new tires to do some battle against some snow-covered roads, go visit our good friends at ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire over there on Menominee Street. Not only are they your go-to place when it comes to high-quality used auto parts, you can get your oil change and get your new tires over there. 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. I know this week, maybe some, especially maybe college-wise too. They got some finals going on, so games may be a little limited on the blue gold side. But you did watch some women's basketball this past weekend, right? So blue gold women's picking up their 4th straight win in a row.
Yes, indeed.
So it's like both men's and women's riding some winning streaks right now for basketball.
They love December. It's a December to remember for the basketball. Yeah, for both of them. Just men get the win over on Wednesday, and then have their break now. Then the women close it out with a win over Wisconsin Lutheran for their 4th straight, and really starting to click as they'll get to the holiday tournament at the end of the month, and then it's conference play.
Yeah.
So for Tanya English squad to start kind of figuring out, and I talked to her last Wednesday, and just they're young, but they've been put in so many different situations in their non-conference schedule that it should help them going forward. That they've been down, they've been up, they've been in last-second situations, they've executed and won last-second games. So looking at that team, I mean, it's continually to be on the rise. And she's always says that you want to get better after every game, and I think that's what we see with this blue gold women's team. And the men's team they've bought into Coach Malvik's philosophy.
Yeah.
So well, and everybody in there it's a loose team that just is out there having fun and playing very well. And what is it, 6 games now?
7 in
a row. Thank you.
No,
Sorry.
6 in a row. 7 in a row. They're 7-3 right now.
It's somewhere between 6 and 7.
6.5.
Yeah.
They're 7-3 because
it'd be funny if it's like 8. And we're
I'll double check.
There we go.
Because I don't need Hovind yelling at me or anything like that. So if he's listening right
now. Get too many winning streaks going on here. It's hard for us to keep track, Blue Gold.
They are 7-3 overall this season. So that because they won their first game. So basic math would tell me 6 in a row. So
and then you got the men's hockey team scoring that upset of Point there on Saturday night, and then the women's hockey team just continuing to roll as well.
Yep.
So it's been a good couple of weeks here for the Blue Golds.
Well, then you had a top 3 matchup between the wrestling programs. I mean, that went down to the final couple matches. So.
And again, I mean, that's a team they've never beat lacrosse, if I'm not mistaken. It's been years since they beat lacrosse, and that they were right there. They had a chance, and those two teams can be sending a lot of guys, I feel like, to nationals this year. So
exactly,
great, great week for the Blue Golds.
I know, speaking of Blue Golds, it wasn't a Blue Gold game, but Sontag, you had North and Rice Lake basketball on Friday night. So that was kind of cool to see. A prep team get some action on the big court over there too.
Right, because Eau Claire North, it was such a great week of local sports. There was so much going on, and it's all for us. It's just awesome, the amount of local sports, and just to get these teams coverage. Yeah, North had their wrestling invites.
Oh yeah, the big Husky invite. Yep.
So they had the girls was on Friday, and then on Saturday was the men. So you had that going on, which is a great event there. So basketball team had to play somewhere. Well, now you have this brand new shiny arena there. Why not have North take on Rice Lake, a team that's on the rise as well at Sonotake? So you had, I mean, that's just awesome to have that option there, and for these kids to go play there. I think you gotta love it. You really do.
Yep. I think was it the women's, the girls wrestling team? They got was it second? I think second place. The Husky invite too.
Yeah.
So, but I mean that program too. I mean the men's side.
Jake's doing such a great job.
Numbers are blown out. I think record no, and they're coming off of some big time wins in the early part of the season too. So I mean we talk about programs a lot, right? And these committed coaches and the development programs, that's one of them over there.
Oh yeah. It just continues to grow and grow. And at that, I mean, not only you're getting the boys to go out, but the way the girls side of wrestling has just continuously grown.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just another local sport that that continues to prosper.
Earlier in the week too, they beat North for the first time in a decade wrestling.
Yeah.
North beat Hudson.
Yes,
for the first time in a decade too. So man. Boys basketball too. I know it was your coworker there too, but he saw maybe one of the plays of the week earlier.
Oh, the Ellsworth
Altoona one,
Christian Leitner-esque play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, again, that how lucky are we to talk to these kids, show this kind of stuff. So I look back on line that we have Memorial as well, continuing to play Cooper Jesperson on the verge. I think he's 75 points away from 1,000. Just, I mean, they got a big one. That, looking ahead to this week, which is just, there really isn't a like slow down for the prep sports. They go full bore until Friday, even Saturday. They got stuff going on, but I'm just Tuesday alone. We've got CFM versus ECA girls hockey. Both are playing great so far this season. Top ranked Hudson, top 5 Eau Claire Memorial, top 10 Eau Claire Memorial. Boys hockey that same night at Hobbs. So you're getting a great doubleheader there.
Yep.
Rice Lake will be at Chi High for hockey. Ram has been playing out of their mind for boys hockey so far this year. They'll host Frederick. This is all Tuesday. Again, you're gonna have a lot of games if you want to go out there. We'll cover it for you too. That's what we do. But boys basketball, Spash versus Memorial.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is just on Alaska North. Regis Fall Creek girls basketball.
Oh, geez.
I mean,
I'm rivalry action there. So
I mean, this is just a few of the games we're throwing out. Bloomer, Altoona girls basketball, Cadott, McDonald, and I'm sure there are games out there even more than this. Than wrestling is at Regis, the Raw wrestling team. So and then you got Bucks Thunder NBA Cup. Just to throw in the national stuff there. So, I mean, it is going to be just an awesome week of local sports around here leading up to the Christmas break. And then you'll have your holiday tournaments. But, yeah, get out there, watch us. We'll cover it for you. But also get out there and watch some of these games because it's going to be a big week.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, if you can't get to any of these games or all of them, I mean, the boys, the crew, Sports Scene 13, you guys do a fantastic job over there every night.
Yeah.
So make sure you're tuning in for those highlights.
Let me shoot out JD, Phillip, and Dwayne, who are the 3 that are usually out there, also with me out there shooting. But those 3 guys do the heavy brunt of a lot of the lifting for shooting, and I wouldn't be here without them and just the dedication they have to getting out there and getting those local sports.
Absolutely. So, man, you got no excuse not to be out there to watch some of this stuff coming up here.
It's going to be a fun week. It really is. I'm looking forward to it.
Anything that's is maybe kind of surprise? Is it still kind of early to get some surprise teams or performances out there, or when's that kind of really conference? Kind of maybe January? Is that
a lot of them are already like you got like the Dairyland. I think Alma Center Lincoln. They ranked in the top 5, top 10 for D4. Suffered a loss at Osseo Fairchild. And the Osseo Fairchild team is tough. So on the boys' side there, so watching a lot of these teams just start to kind of figure out where they're at. But I think you start getting more of a feel after the holidays.
Yeah.
When you really get in that full of, okay, here we're in that stretch. Because it's such a weird schedule at this point because you've had Thanksgiving, you'll have these holiday tournaments there. But I mean, I got a chance to see the Memorial girls basketball team. I want to throw them out there for what they did. Just watching them play against New Richmond on Friday, the amount of depth on that team, still a lot of players that are juniors. That's a good team. That's a really good team that I think is just continuously getting better and better, and has a lot of junior leaders and a lot of senior leaders. That's what you want for a team that has a possibility of making a decent run there. So it's I don't want to leave any teams out because there are so many great teams in this area.
Right.
So again, we talk about it. I always say it's going to be fun, but it is. It is so much fun, and again, I think we're going to have just an outstanding winter sports season around here because there are so many really good teams in all the sports.
I know it's not a prep one, but he was from area. I saw you had posted this, and I watched it a couple of days ago with Thomas Longbella.
Yeah,
the good video, the video feature of him on the Corn Ferry.
Yeah,
was close to getting his pro card, right? And then a wrist surgery. Kind of derailed it, but back at it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out for him where he won his first PGA Americas. That's there's the tiers to like the PGA, like the PGA Americas, then it's Corn Ferry, then it's PGA Tour. Won his first event, but then had to have wrist surgery like 2 months later. Was on the verge of getting his Corn Ferry card. Well, then he goes through PGA Tour qualifying, Q School, makes it to the finals, and had a chance for if he could have finished at the top 5, would have had a chance for his PGA Tour card. I think he ended up finishing in the 30s, something like that. But it's still a good performance.
Yeah.
Now he's partial exemption, I believe, for the Corn Ferry, not full-time membership.
Okay.
But so he'll be able to golf more in the Corn Ferry, which is a big step.
Yeah.
And then he'll have full-time in the PGA Tour of Americas. But he's putting the work in, and it's the attitude. And if you watch that video, it's just that's how he's always been. Just a delight to talk to, and just a positive. And it's easy to get down, but
especially in that sport.
yeah, with a wrist. I mean,
Yeah.
the major part of your swing.
Yep.
But I mean, the way he's bounced back and to make that the final round of qualifying school shows you just the immense talent he's had. And we've been seeing since for the last 10, 12 years.
Right. Exactly. I mean, we've talked about it how many times the high school programs of these golf programs around here, whether it's North or Memorial, boys and girls,
McDonald, Regis,
yep.
Altoona.
I'll even go with Blue Gold Golf now too with the men's team over there. A lot of it, I think, is
Elk Mound.
Yeah.
Elk Mound Colfax. Don't want to forget Balcongshaw.
Yeah, that's a good one there. I think a lot of it though too is just the quality of the courses we have around here too.
Yes,
that makes such a difference for these youngsters,
and the willing for them to let juniors play, and that's where it starts at. It starts at the youth, and if you're able to move from there, just getting anybody to play.
Yep.
And golf is and we've seen it explode again in popularity. But it's one of those things that, and you hear me probably too much talk about golf, but it's one of those that's with you.
Yep.
You can do it.
Yep.
And do it until
you can't
anymore.
Yeah.
Like really, I mean, and so I think they've really done such a great job of teaching and letting the kids grow. And yeah, like you say, for the courses to let them do that in the juniors, and now we're seeing what it does out there on the course. It's again, for me, I'm spoiled to be able to watch as many of the great local golfers as we've had.
Yep, I agree. All right, Shot Clock's going to cut us off here in a couple minutes. So, because next week we're going to be at VFW. So if I don't see you next week, you and your family have a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Sir.
You too, and everybody out there. I mean, again, it's always a pleasure for me to come on out here, and always a pleasure for me to be able to cover your athletes in this local area.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by every Monday. More importantly, we appreciate you and JD and your entire staff. Don't tell Dwayne I give him any credit though. But you guys do fantastic stuff, and everybody make sure you're following along on Sports Scene 13, WEAU 13 News too, because you guys put in a lot of miles.
No,
especially this time of year too, with a lot of good stuff.
It's worth
right
it.
now.
It really is.
But we appreciate it. And if you're not doing anything, I know the kiddos off school, that might be a little difficult, but airing of grievances. So that's your one time if you got to air grievances.
Well, Brandon's going to be there, so I'll just direct them all at it.
We do have a feats of strength plans at 8:05. We got our contestants lined up for feats of strength.
Okay, I was like, I'm not going to volunteer for that one.
Let's just say it involves a little hot wing-ish.
Ooh.
I'll tell you off the air a little bit.
Oh, boy.
I want to make it a little. The contestants know what they're doing, but I'm gonna kind of leave the other stuff as a surprise for everybody to stop by. So, but big thanks to Donna and everybody. They're gonna open up early that day for us too. Awesome. So, Justice, we appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Quick break. Last hour coming up. We'll do. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks and hit us up with the text. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, final hour on this Victory Monday. Hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start on this Monday, and a big thanks for joining us and being a part of our program here this morning. Don't forget to hit us up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. We'll get back to some more of your texts coming up here momentarily. We'll get back to some Packers talk coming up here in just a little bit too. Your thoughts and your reaction, your analysis from last night's victory over the Seattle Seahawks, a 30-13 win over the Seahawks. Hit me up with those texts. All right, hit me up with those comments and analysis and such. So last call for your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blank there. All right, so hit me up. Give you a few more minutes to do that. We talked a little Brewers at the beginning of the last hour with JC, but if you want to give me your opinions on the Devin Williams trade, you can do that as well. Packers. Brewers last Friday trading Devin Williams to the New York Yankees for starting pitcher and probably, I would imagine, at this point, their future starting third baseman. But Brewers acquiring Cortez, starting pitcher. He's only under contract for one more year, Nestor Cortez. But I think a lot of that too is you got a little bit of a security blanket with Brandon Woodruff. You know, they don't have Colin Ray. They let go of him. Brandon Woodruff's still kind of up in the air. You just don't know how his shoulder is going to be until he gets out there. We know Robert Gasser's not going to be pitching this year at the major league level, so they get kind of a fill-in pitcher for this year, a guy who's got postseason experience and such. And then, as we mentioned, probably their new third baseman, maybe second baseman, but he's a guy who could play third and second, Caleb Durbin, Northwoods League alum with the Fond du Lac Dock Spiders over there. Plus, Brewers getting some cash from the New York Yankees. Bucks also, they have advanced to the NBA Cup Finals where they will take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That game will be coming up tomorrow night. Bucks taking down the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday, 110-102 in the game. Bucks, what was that? Oh, yeah. Bucks outscoring, got sidetracked there. Bucks outscoring the Hawks in the fourth quarter to close it out 28-19. Giannis, 32 points, 14 rebounds, nearly another triple-double for the Greek Freak. 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists. Damian Lillard, 25 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds for him. AJ Green, again, coming off the bench, contributing his 9 points. Bobby Portis contributing with 10 points in the game. Chris Middleton, 22 minutes of action in that game, 6 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. So this will be a fun test for the finals going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that many believe to be the best team in the league. Many believe in preseason predictions to win the NBA Finals. So I'm excited for this matchup. I don't know. I mean, I'll make my pick tomorrow, but I'll tell you, I'm probably leaning towards OKC. Hope I'm wrong here, but it should be a good matchup. And the Bucks are playing some good basketball right now. They're playing with some good basketball and playing with some confidence at it too. So yeah, I'm gonna follow along for that game tomorrow night. No question about it. Should be a good one, and hopefully the Bucks can come away. It's got 2 MVP candidates going at it with Giannis and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So yeah, it should be a good one. Hopefully the Bucks don't get blown out against OKC and such, but we'll see. OKC technically at OKC, but they're favored by 4.5 points heading into this game. Matchup predictor has OKC 73.1% favored. So Bucks do face OKC 2 more times after this NBA Cup Finals, February 3rd and then March 16th. But you look at Oklahoma City Thunder so far this season, they are 20-5. They are also riding a 5-game winning streak. Bucks currently are riding a 3-game winning streak at this point in time. When we look at the standings in the NBA, in the Eastern Conference standings, the Bucks are in that 6th spot right now. Miami with a slight advantage because both Miami and the Bucks are 7.5 back from the top spot held by the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Miami sitting there at 13-10. The Bucks sitting there at 14-11. 1.5 back from the Magic for the 4 spot, and the Knicks for the 4 spot there too. Just kind of a little bit of a difference between the Knicks and the Magic in terms of win percentage. But OKC, the cream of the crop so far in the Western Conference with the 20-5 record. Memphis, 3 games behind them. Memphis currently in that 2nd spot. You look at the top 3 teams in the Western Conference: OKC, Memphis, and Houston. I know Memphis a couple years ago, they were up there too. Last year was a little bit of off year because of the whole John Morant situation and such, but got Houston that's building. You look at these top 3 teams of OKC, Memphis, and Houston, young teams, young talented teams leading the way. Then you got Dallas at that 4 spot, Denver 5, Phoenix 6. Minnesota right now, same record as the Bucks, 14-11, but they're sitting in that 7th seed currently in the Western Conference standings. So, okay, should we do a little? I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. We got a few of them to get to, so let's go to that Shoe Doctors bullpen texting line. We had Chris chime in and say, "I'm not saying that Edgerrin Cooper is the best linebacker in football, but I'm just saying he may be in a few years." All right, high praise right there. I like it. Let's go with Ben here. Ben said a little bit earlier, I'm scrolling back because I want to save this one. Ben said, "I'm not saying that Josh Jacobs was the best free agent signing in Packers history, but I'm just saying he's easily top 5 already." Okay. What you got to put Reggie in there. You got to put Charles Woodson in there. You put Xavier McKinney in. I think wasn't I already kind of thrown out at the beginning of the year? Okay. Right now, top of my head, I'm trying to think of some other ones out there. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe so. Okay, I like it. This one doesn't have a name attached to it, but this texter says, "I'm not saying that I'm not watching Brewers baseball this year, but I'm just saying the Brewers are making it harder for me to get excited if they keep continuing to trade their star players." And then another texter said a little bit earlier, "Happy I'm not saying, I'm just saying Victory Monday, Dano. I'm not saying I'm not saying that Jeff Hafley is the best defensive coordinator in Packers history, but I'm just saying he's the best defensive coordinator in Packers history." Okay. That's a lot of high praise already for Jeff Hafley in his first year. Okay. All right. Maybe a guy, I don't know, like Fritz Shermer would have something to say about it. I don't know. But all right. And let's do one more. We'll get back to some more if we get some more texted on over here. Let's go to, "I'm not saying that the NBA Cup was a good decision, but I'm just saying they've sucked me into paying attention to a Tuesday night game now with the Bucks in the finals." Okay, that one was from Kevin on the texting line. All right, keep those coming. If you got any more in the final 45 minutes or so of the program, we'll get to those coming up here in just a little while. So, but your thoughts, your reaction, your analysis from the Packers W yesterday. Ironically, with the Packers win, it helped out our friends to the west. Minnesota Vikings have clinched a playoff spot because of the Packers win yesterday, but the Packers have put themselves in a position to where they're very, very, very near in clinching a playoff spot. In fact, when you look at both the AFC and the NFC, even with, we got 2 games tonight, but 3 weeks left in the regular season, 4 teams have clinched playoff spots in the AFC. That would be Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Houston. Houston has already wrapped up their division along with Buffalo and Kansas City. So 3 of the 4 division's already wrapped up in the AFC. Pittsburgh has clinched a postseason spot, but not their division yet. Baltimore still sitting in there. Denver and the Chargers are holding on to the final 2 playoff spots at this current point in time. Colts and Miami sitting there 6 and 8. NFC wise, Detroit. No division winners have been clinched yet in the NFC, but Detroit, we know, has clinched a playoff spot. Philly has clinched a playoff spot, and as we just mentioned, Minnesota has clinched a playoff spot thanks to Green Bay winning yesterday. But currently, Tampa Bay now, because of Green Bay beating Seattle, Seattle is currently out of the playoff picture at an 8-6 record. The Rams have moved up. But Tampa Bay now has moved up to the 3 seed. Seattle was at that 3 seed. Tampa Bay now is at the 3 seed with an 8-6 record. The Rams sitting there at the 4 spot. If the postseason were to start today, it would be Green Bay visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Minnesota would be going to visit the Rams. How, things change in just a matter of a few days. Last week, the topic was, okay, that 5th seed might be a little bit more important because you might have to go, if you're the 6th seed, you might have to face the AFC West, which could be the Rams. Well, right now, the way everything's playing out, the NFC West would be the 4th seed, and Minnesota would have to play the Rams. So, I mean, if you're a Packers fan, I know we got 3 more weeks and a lot is going to be decided here. Who would you rather avoid? Would you rather avoid let's say these are the teams in the postseason right now. Would you rather not play the Rams or not play the Buccaneers? I know we beat the Rams earlier this season, but Rams were a little bit banged up and such. And with that secondary and Puka and Cooper in there, I think I'd rather play the Buccaneers at this point. So then you're thinking, okay, maybe you got to be at that 6th seed. A lot's going to change in the next 3 weeks here. Just take care of your own business and see how it all plays out here. Just see how it all plays out. As it currently stands, Philadelphia would take on Washington in the first round here too. So, but yeah, you look at that AFC. 4 teams have already clinched, and 3 of the 4 divisions already wrapped up. I mean, heck, you even look at the 6 and 7 seeds. Colts and Dolphins are 2 games back from that final spot. So, I mean, the AFC might wrap up here fairly quick. I know everybody. So, really, there's only 10 teams that are still alive. If we take away the 4 teams in the AFC that have already clinched playoff spots, Baltimore, Denver, Chargers, Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals are the teams still alive. Baltimore's going to go in. Denver sure looks like they're going to be a team that goes in, although this is going to be a big one. Denver and Chargers coming up here. Cincinnati's holding on. I should say Cincinnati's 6 and 8 there too, but barely. Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals holding on by the skin of their teeth. AFC might be wrapped up here in terms of we know the 7 teams who have clinched playoff spots here fairly soon. NFC, I feel like we know 5 of the 7. That NFC South and the NFC West still kind of up in the air. Atlanta needs a win big time tonight, though, if they want to keep pace. And they've got the Raiders tonight. You'd think Atlanta would win that one. Atlanta, though, does not play Tampa Bay anymore. I'm just kind of looking at this from a Packers perspective. So Atlanta's got to face the Raiders at Vegas. Then they're home against the Giants. So Atlanta should win these next 2. Then they're at the Commanders. That'll be a tough one. But then they finish up with the Panthers. I mean, if I'm Atlanta, you should be 9 and 8 when the season's done with. You should win 3 of your final 4. Tampa Bay, meanwhile, they're sitting there at 8 and 6. They've got the Cowboys at Dallas, then Carolina, and then the Saints. Oof. Kind of like Tampa Bay's path, to be honest with you. So maybe it is going to be Tampa Bay finishing up that NFC South. Back-to-back years, back in the postseason. So, all right. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. Let's get back to some more Packers talk, though, okay? Hit me up. I want your thoughts. I want your reaction. I want your analysis from last night's game. Okay, I know it was late. Probably still brewing the coffee, maybe a little groggy after just a few hours of sleep. Myself, just two. I can't go to sleep right after a late game. Got the adrenaline flowing. I got to watch the pressers. I got to, look up these numbers and these stats. I can't turn it off right away. So, give me your analysis. Give me your thoughts. Who gets your tip of the cap or your game balls from the game last night? A lot of you going with Edrin Cooper. I agree with you on that pick too. So, all right, quick break. We'll be back with more after these quick words. What's the menu for Christmas dinner this year? Thinking about maybe getting some steaks or such? Well, you better go visit our good friends at Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. Maybe you're looking for some candy to put in for some stocking stuffers and such. Check out their lineup of freeze-dried candy. You know you get the best quality and products at our good friends at Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. So stop on by and give them a visit and grab your steaks for some Christmas dinner, or grab some of those amazing freeze-dried candy. So many different options over there. Sarah does a fantastic job with that. Go fill up the stockings with some of that. And don't forget, too, if you're looking for some time's running out, but if you're looking for maybe something for that hunting person in your life, go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. All right, it's Tilden Gun. You can check out their website or stop by their shop. Go visit Sean and Hunter over there, 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. You can maybe look for a new deer rifle, or maybe you're looking for a new scope or any other accessories you may need to help outfit that hunting person in your life. Get it at Tilden Gun. Again, that address, 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls, or check them out online at tildengun.com. All right, let's we're towards the bottom of the hour, flying on by on this Victory Monday here. A lot of you sending in your thoughts on Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie linebacker last night, who led the team in tackles, also got a sack, got a pick, had himself a night last night. Dude was balling in his return. There's no question about it. Edgerrin Cooper easily gets a tip of the cap. Easy tip of the cap pick for the performance that he had last night. I give my tip of the cap also to Jeff Hafley for the defensive game plan that they had out there. Offensively, they started off the game masterful. If this Packers team can continue to have success running the football and can continue to eat clock, eat that time, and come away with touchdowns like they did in that first quarter, this is a team that can go on the road and win some playoff games. If they can go out there and have success running the football, and Josh Jacobs continues to do what he is doing, and Green Bay is going to go and have 7-minute drives, 6, 7, 8-minute drives that are going to end in touchdowns. This is a team that can go on the road and win. Yes, it would be nice to have a home game, have a home playoff game coming up here, but with the style that Green Bay is playing on offense, that is a style that can go on the road and win. Whether it's going to be in Tampa, whether it's back at however it's going to play out, and it's a style that they have to play if they're going to go up against teams maybe like the Rams or these teams that like to score quick because they've got these big play offenses and such. And the Rams can get into a little bit of a similar type of game plan for the Packers if they want to. I mean, they did against the 49ers. What was that 16-play drive that they had that took 9 minutes off and only came away with 3 points, though? But this is a recipe where they can go into the postseason and maybe win a couple games with what they're doing right now. They're playing, I think, some solid complementary football in terms of what they're doing on offense plays into what they're doing on defense and vice versa. You'd love to see Jair Alexander back in the fray, because the one thing that does concern me about the defense going forward and into the postseason, it's still going to be the secondary. And, if you go up against a team like the Rams or even Mike Evans and the Buccaneers or those type of teams, they did a good job last night against DK and Jackson and Lockett and such. But if they're banged up in the secondary with Javon Bullard and especially Jair Alexander, and you have that trickle-down effect, it does worry me a little bit, because then you're moving guys around. Keyshawn's moving back to the slot, where I think he was actually better this year as an outside corner. So if you have all these different moving parts in the secondary, if Jair is, I don't know what the plan's going to be. I know, Matt LaFleur said Friday that Didn't look like he was ready to go, so they shut him down. I don't know if that means they're going to try it again this week, or is they going to shut him down for a little bit longer, or what the plan's going to be. I guess we'll find out on Wednesday and such when they get back to practice, or maybe it's Thursday. I don't know what their schedule is going to be like with the Monday night game. But I think you have to ask the question now is if Jair's kind of teetering around, he can play. It's just, do you shut him down for the rest of the regular season and hope to get him back in the playoffs? I mean, yes, of course, I would love to see him going up against Minnesota and going up against Justin Jefferson and such. No question. I want to see that. But is it smart at this point to just say, okay, Jair, we're going to get you ready for the postseason. We need you in the postseason. We need you going up against the Rams if we got to play the Rams. We need you going up against Mike Evans if we got to play the Buccaneers. We need you going up against maybe Seattle again against DK or whatever. I don't know exactly where it's at this stage. I think we all thought he was going to play this week after he was a full participant on Wednesday and Thursday. Sure looked like it was trending in that direction, especially the week prior. He was back at practice and doing some things. Or does he need to get into a game before the playoffs start to knock off a little bit of that rust and such? But I really believe they still need a guy like Jair back in the secondary once the postseason starts, especially if they're going up against these offenses that feature some big-time wide receivers. But Edgerrin Cooper last night, though, proved, I think, that he's a big part of this defense, too, and what this defense could do. And I think that's one thing that maybe, and I'm guilty of this. I am 100% guilty of this. And I think a lot of us are at the same point where we went into this year with higher expectations for the defense, with a new defensive coordinator coming in, switching over to a 4-3, different philosophy, different style. So we had some really high expectations right away. So did I. And maybe we should have been just a little bit more lenient because, one, you're switching things up, right? You're asking guys like a Rashawn Gary or Van Ness and those guys who are rushing from standing up position, okay, put your hand in the dirt. You're asking Kenny Clark to do some things differently. Maybe we should have been a little bit more lenient at the beginning of the year. Maybe we should have lowered the expectations a little bit. But also factoring in these younger guys, you're asking Evan Williams and Javon Bullard and Edgerrin Cooper to be bigger time players within this defense and such. And we saw Evan Williams making an impact right away at the beginning of the year. So, I mean, we were talking about, gosh, this defense, we need Evan Williams in there for this defense to be successful. Then it was Jair. We need Jair in there to be successful. And it's all true. It's 100% right. But Edgerrin Cooper has now, I think, put his name in that thing where it's like, okay, we need Edgerrin Cooper in there. Because if Edgerrin Cooper's in there and he's doing what he did last night, you add in all that other stuff. Boy, now we're starting to maybe see what we had envisioned with this defense all offseason and all season long. If everybody's healthy, you got your shutdown corner. You've got your turnover machine and Xavier McKinney. You've got your linebacker, your inside linebacker who can get after the quarterback, who can play a little coverage, who's maybe your best pure tackling linebacker, a physical linebacker in Edgerrin Cooper. You're seeing actually Van Ness and Rashawn Gary getting more success. You're seeing edge rushers getting a little bit more success. Maybe it's all, as the great Lou Brown from the Cinematic Classic Major League once said, things are starting to come together, Pepper. Things are starting to come together. Maybe that's the case. I don't want to overreact to just one game from last night. But I don't think it's an overreaction to say that what we saw from like Edgerrin Cooper and what we saw from the pass rush last night, that's what we've been waiting for. And yes, Seattle's offensive line stinks. They suck. And they were banged up. But the thing is, Green Bay took advantage of it and they exposed it. That's what you want to see. That's what we expected to see, and they did it. And with a backup quarterback coming in here, they dialed it up a little bit more. They dialed up that aggressiveness a little bit more. They didn't allow a backup quarterback to go in there and kind of like light a spark. How many times have we seen that before? I mean, Sam Howell just looked like lost. He looked lost. I mean, all those, especially after the interception. I mean, just the facial. I don't even know if the guy was there. He was just gone. And that's a credit to Jeff Hafley. That's a credit to the players. It's a credit to that defensive coaching staff because they did exactly what they were supposed to do with no Jair in that lineup. They went after Geno or Howell quickly. They didn't. Yes, there was definitely some open plays across the middle of the field. Definitely there was some miscommunication in the zone defense. Evan Williams earlier in the game. DK Metcalf was drawing a lot of attention in terms of double teams and such. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't 100% perfect. There's definitely stuff to clean up. There's definitely communication stuff to get going here. But when we all found out that Jair was not playing in this game, I think we all said, okay, pass rush. Okay, Rashawn. Okay, Kenny. Okay, guys. It's on you. You got to get home. You got to disrupt him. You got to make him nervous back there. And I thought they did a good job of it. They did a really good job of it. 7 sacks, 6 different players registering a sack. Of the quarterback hits, 9 different players had quarterback. Of the 12 quarterback hits, it was coming in different ways. You had Devontae Wyatt showing off a spin move. You had guys displaying power. That E word, that effort word. Effort. Jeff Hafley preaches effort. If you don't show effort, you're not playing. I think you saw effort last night from a lot of those guys, especially a guy like Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, that guy, again, I know it's like the Edgerrin Cooper appreciation show this morning, and it's just like a love affair. But how many times has us Packers fans said, man, I wish we had a linebacker like a Fred Warner. Man, I wish we had that inside linebacker that, you can bring on a blitz, or he's like everywhere. I'm not saying Edgerrin Cooper is going to be the next Fred Warner or the next great top middle linebacker, inside linebacker in the NFL, but he gave us glimpses of what that could look like. I think he's going to be a solid player, really good player for the next few years. He's got the athletic traits. He's got the instincts. He's got the aggressiveness. He's got the effort. And I just hope now you continue to stack that. You continue to build upon that. Edgerrin Cooper continues to build upon that. Coaches continue to build upon that, putting him in a position to affect games, to succeed. We saw some glimpses of that, what type of player he can be within this defense. We saw it. We saw that he can be kind of a Swiss Army knife type of player that can do multiple things for you. He can confuse a quarterback dropping in the zone. He can come after you. He can come after the ball carrier. This defense is better with 56 out there. This defense is better with Edgerrin Cooper out there. It's not better when he's on the sideline or splitting reps with the other guys. He is better when he is that, or this defense is better when he is out there. He's a game changer. He's a game wrecker at this point. And I just saw this. Talking about the coverage aspect of it. Quarterback rating when targeting Edgerrin Cooper last night, 0. Not 0.5, not 0.2, not 0.1, 0. This is the middle linebacker, the inside linebacker type of play that we have wanted to see for a long time. Quay Walker has shown us glimpses of that. His biggest thing has been the consistency part of it. Edgerrin Cooper, still fairly young. But he's maybe shown us some more, maybe he's shown us a little bit of a higher ceiling at that point. This was from Matt Schneidman after the game last night. Kingsley Enagbare on Edrin Cooper. He's special, man. Definitely, I feel like he's a future Hall of Famer. From the stat line, you can see he can do everything: make tackles, make the interceptions, get the sacks. There's literally nothing he's physically not able to do. And I think we saw that last night. The biggest thing now is just going to be, okay, let's build upon that. Let's stack that success. But let's make sure Edrin Cooper's on that field as many times as possible too, because this defense is mounds and mounds better with 56 out there. All right, let's take our final break here. We got some picks and predicts to wrap it up. Your last call for any texts, tweets, comments on the video stream, anything like that. We'll get to those. We'll wrap it up and finish up things after these quick words. What's on your wish list this year? If you said a new home or maybe even a piece of land in the middle of the woods to escape to, like some hunting land and such, you're in luck because Woods and Water Realty has your wish list already available. Just visit woodsandwater.com to check out all the listings available for homes, cabins, or parcels of land. And the team of realtors at Woods and Water Realty are ready to help you find that new dream home or piece of land to build your future dream home. The realtors from Woods and Water Realty are with you every step of the way, making the process of home buying super simple. Start looking through that wish list right now by visiting woodsandwater.com. Woods and Water Realty, your real estate store. And if you get that new home and you want to do a little update, you want to change out the flooring, you want to change out that old carpet, maybe put in some Rigid Max flooring, or maybe you want to update the man cave or such, make sure you go visit our good friends, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, Wisconsin's premier flooring store, located at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. Again, whether you're looking for some carpet, maybe you want to do some redo your shower with some tiles and such, they can help you with that too. Or you want to put in some luxury vinyl planks. Whether you are an employer, your office, or whether it's your home, Carpet City Flooring Center is there to help you out. Stop by 3109 East Hamilton Avenue and go visit the good peeps at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. It is time to do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. By the way, Woods and Water Realty, Carpet City Flooring Center, and the Elbow Room, all partners of the Mobile Man Cave. We've got a couple of Monday Night Football games coming at you tonight. Not just one, we got two. And then we'll do some NBA games. Let's start off with the NBA schedule for tonight. Philadelphia at the Hornets of Charlotte. Give me the 76ers in this one. I'll ride with the 76ers. Miami at Detroit. Give me the Heat in this one. Chicago at Toronto. I'll ride with the Bulls. Cleveland at Brooklyn. Give me the Cavs. Denver at Sacramento could be a little spicy. Give me the Kings in this one. And we've got the Jazz and Clippers. I'll take the Clippers tonight. So that's your NBA schedule. Then we got the NBA Cup Finals tomorrow night. No games Wednesday. Then back to your regularly scheduled NBA programming on Thursday. So let's pick the two Monday night games tonight. Minnesota taking on the Bears. Thanks to the Packers win last night, Minnesota has clinched a playoff spot. Chicago yesterday, based off the other results, officially eliminated from playoff contention. So that obviously means when Minnesota is just going to, not play well. Like, all right, we clinched without playing. Chicago, they're eliminated. They're going to play a little loose. Got nothing to lose. So Chicago's going to win tonight, right? I'm not picking that. I'll go with Minnesota. I'm going to go with the safe pick. But go furry animals that are in Illinois. I can't say go. You know what? But you know what I'm getting at. I'll ride with Minnesota winning tonight. So Atlanta taking on the Raiders. Atlanta needs this game big time. Raiders tank for Shedeur. Dion's kid. Maybe, possibly. But Atlanta, you better win this one. These next games are must wins, and plus they still need some help too. But I'll ride with the fighting Kirk Cousins tonight, taking on the Raiders. So again, those are your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place. Again, quick update on where the playoff picture is at this point in the NFL as after these games. Then we got like a bunch of Saturday games, middle of the week games and such because it's Christmas and the holidays and that. But after tonight's games, there will just be 3 weeks left. 3 weeks left of the regular season. 4 teams in the AFC have clinched playoff spots. 3 of the 4 have clinched their division. Kansas City, Buffalo, Houston, all clinching their division. Pittsburgh clinched a spot, not the division yet. Baltimore still right there too. You've got Denver holding on to the 6th spot. Chargers holding on to the 7th spot. Chargers are up by 2 games, it looks like, over the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals are the only other 3 teams who are not eliminated from playoff contention in the AFC. NFC is a little bit different. We've got 3 teams who have clinched spots. Nothing in terms of the division yet. Detroit still holding on to that 1 spot. Philly 2. Tampa Bay now is the 3 seed. It flip-flopped. Seattle did head into the game last night as a 3 seed. They're out of the playoff picture now. Rams are now first in the division, but they're in the 4 spot. Minnesota has clinched. They're currently at that 5th spot. Green Bay holding on to the 6th. And then Washington with the win yesterday too, holding on to the final spot in the NFC playoff race. Only 3 teams have officially been eliminated from playoff contention in the NFC. That would be the Bears, the Panthers, and the Giants. So right now the Saints have not been eliminated. And that's who Green Bay will face next Monday night, a week from tonight. So a little bit more up in the air in terms of the NFC. We'll see if anything changes. I feel like maybe we'll get a little bit of a change in the NFC. You know what? I think Tampa's going to win their division just based off the remaining schedules between Tampa and Atlanta. NFC West is a little bit more up in the air. At this point, the game that might be flexed that final week, everything kind of stays the same. You got Rams and Seahawks for the final game of the regular season. But the Rams travel to the Jets this coming weekend. Then they finish up at home against the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Cardinals got Panthers, Rams, and 49ers. The 49ers have the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Cardinals. So 49ers a little bit of a tougher schedule. And then Seattle, they've got Minnesota, Chicago, and the Rams. So, yeah, I feel like this NFC West can be a little bit of a race to the finish coming up here. I think the Buccaneers got the NFC South. Whether they'll be the 3 or 4 is still kind of left up in the air. Yeah, that final one's NFC West. I'm not quite sure yet. Rams, though, are the one that I don't probably want to play because they're playing probably the best football at this point. So, but I don't want to go to San Francisco either. I don't want to face San Francisco either. So go Cardinals and Seahawks, I guess, at this point, just in case. So, all right, what else do we got coming up here? We talked some Brewers here with. Well, we talked a lot with Justice in the last hour. Big thanks to Justice Cleveland, WEAU 13 News. Did our local sports roundup. So if you missed that, we'll put that up in our podcast. You can check that out. But we talked a lot of Brewers. A lot of you in terms of the Devin Williams trade. I'll just sum it up this way. You get it. You get it. You may not like it. You may not, be all 100% in favor of it. You get it. You understand that's how it kind of plays out for the Brewers at this point. You understand it. You get it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I knew it was going to happen. Maybe happened a little bit quicker than that was initially out there. Thought maybe a little bit closer to spring training, kind of like Corbin Burns last year. But the Brewers obviously felt like they got a deal right now that they probably weren't going to get later. And maybe they're like, okay, this is to an AL team and not a National League team because their Dodgers were really rumored into it. So you get another infielder that could play third base and second base. You get a starter for probably one more year. Gives you a little bit more insurance just in case Brandon Woodruff doesn't get back to Brandon Woodruff status. Robert Gasser's not going to probably pitch for you this year. You don't have Colin Ray. So when you look at your starters, at least right now, heading into spring training here in a couple months, it's Freddie, it's Cortez, it's Tobias Myers, it's Brandon Woodruff. Probably as easily, I would say those are, dare I say, locks at this point for starting rotation spots. DL Hall's in there, Aaron Savali's in there, Aaron Ashby, I feel like is going to be probably a guy coming out of the bullpen. So when you kind of look at it too with their starters, at least at this point, I mean, Freddie's a veteran, Nestor Cortez is a veteran, Tobias Myers, younger guy last year. Aaron Savali is a veteran. Brandon Woodruff. So you got mixed in some veterans in there with a couple of younger guys that maybe you can kind of, be a little bit more flexible with right away. Kind of like a DL Hall and Gasser whenever he does come back, but that'll probably be for the next year. So again, you get it. It stinks that we have to, we know this with our favorite teams, that they can't always keep their best players, right? It stinks when it comes to baseball when you can't always keep them because of money reasons. That's what it boils down to. It's money reasons. All right. Shot clock's going to cut me off tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll do a Grind My Gears Tuesday. ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? Think about that. Let it spew a little bit and then let it loose tomorrow, as long as it's appropriate. But we'll get to your Grind My Gears tomorrow. We'll talk a lot of Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal. Badgers may have their new quarterback. I saw this a few minutes ago, but Danny O'Neal, San Diego State quarterback Danny O'Neal, signed on with Wisconsin, apparently. He threw for over 2,000 yards and 12 touchdowns as a true freshman this past season for San Diego State. Leader in the clubhouse to be the starter next year, then? We'll talk to RJ about that. DP and Adanitz, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your Victory Monday. Let's do this again tomorrow morning, just past 6 a.m. I will talk to you all then.